Hello and welcome to the Fossil Huntress Podcast. I hope you guys are all doing really well. This is your window into deep time, ancient oceans, lost worlds, and the beautiful traces left behind. I'm your host, Heidi Henderson, and I'm coming to you from the rain-kissed coastline of British Columbia. It's a beautiful March morning, and the sky is full of clouds, promising a goodly amount of rain. Today on the show, we're diving into one of the most iconic fossils of all time, trilobites. Those segmented, alien-looking creatures that once ruled our ancient seas. So grab a cup of something warm, cozy up, and we're going to take a journey and fly way back, traveling more than 500 million years. So what are trilobites? They're arthropods. They're in the phylum Arthropoda. And Arthropoda is our biggest animal group, so it contains a wide diversity of creatures. They all have hard exoskeletons and jointed appendages. That's what puts them in the group and makes them similar to one another for how we classify them. And many familiar species belong to Arthropoda, so insects, spiders, scorpions, centipedes, millipedes, crab, crayfish, shrimp, lobster. So trilobites are arthropods, and classifying them as belonging to that largest group in the animal kingdom. And they're joined by creatures that you know. So we think of crabs and insects and spiders, and trilobites are often compared to and look very similar to our modern horseshoe crabs. So trilobites and horseshoe crabs are not particularly closely related to one another, but horseshoe crabs are a living relative of trilobites. They're not direct descendants, but they do share a similar overall organization, and they live in similar environments. But it's a little bit like the way a bat can fly and a bumblebee can fly. So bats and bumblebees both have wings and they both move through the air, but they're not particularly similar when you get down to it. The word trilobite means 3 lobes, and that refers to the 3 longitudinal sections of their bodies. So picture your head, your belly, and your legs, a bit like that. So they're divided in 3. And they have hard, calcified exoskeletons. So the way you've got a skeleton inside, they've got one on the outside. They have jointed legs, and some even have, this is pretty interesting, compound eyes made of calcite. And they're the only known animal to do so. And one of the things that's remarkable is when we see that as a fossil, just the level of detail that provides. It's beautiful to see those structures. And these amazing animals appeared during the Cambrian explosion, so around 521 million years ago. And they thrived for a good long time, a little over 270 million years. And they finally went extinct during the Permian-Triassic extinction event. So imagine that, a lineage that outlived the dinosaurs by twice their span. So we're going to zoom into Canada, because I'm in Canada, in North America's far north. And it's a treasure trove for trilobite lovers. One of the most famous trilobite sites in the world and in Canada is the Burgess Shale in Yoho National Park. It's in British Columbia, my home province. And while the Burgess is better known for its soft-bodied creatures like Anomalocaris and Hallucigenia, it also preserved some pretty incredible and very detailed trilobites. So you can see their legs are preserved. You can see their genal spines. You can see all the bits and pieces in wonderful preservation that was offered up at the Burgess, or that is offered up at the Burgess site. So as well as those soft-bodied creatures, we see some wonderful, wonderful Olenoides, serratus, and other species. Farther east in Manitoba, we find the big Isotolus rex, and that's a find that I will share with you in another story because it's a pretty epic tale. It is the largest complete trilobite ever discovered, and this big boy stretched about 70 centimeters long, so over 2 feet long. And Isotolus roamed the ancient Ordovician seas that once covered much of central Canada. So imagine snorkeling and coming face to face with one of those. Some fun trilobite facts. They are among the first animals to develop compound eyes, and some had truly excellent vision, while others were completely blind and adapted to deep, dark ocean floors. They molted. So they molted their exoskeletons like modern-day crabs, and that's why we find so many trilobite fossils, because many of them are actually molted skins and not full bodies. So in a site like the Eager Formation, the Rifle Range site up near Cranbrook, we find a ton of the bits of the head, the little head cephalons of Olenoides scattered all around. And many, because they were molting and shedding those and growing new ones. And then occasionally we find the full body fossil, which is the actual whole specimen. And some species rolled into tight balls, just like modern pill bugs. And this was a defensive mechanism against predators. And they are a hugely diverse group and a biggin group, because there's about 20,000 species of trilobites that have been identified, making them one of the most diverse fossil groups ever. So a little story, the Rocky Mountain discovery. I'm going to share a little story that still makes my heart race. A few summers ago, a geology student named Aidan was hiking near the Mackenzie Mountains in the Northwest Territory. He was mapping ancient limestone outcrops. And while he was eating lunch on a sun-warmed slab of rock, something caught his eye, a shimmer in the stone. And he knelt down and brushed away some dust, revealing the faint outline of a segmented creature. And he snapped a photo and sent it off to his professor and didn't think much of it. And fast forward 6 months, and paleontologists confirmed it was a new species of trilobite, one with unusually long spines and unique eye structures, never before seen in the fossil record. And they named it Mackenzie Iaspis arcus, the arced trilobite of the Mackenzies. So it's now housed in the Canadian Museum of Nature in Ottawa. And that quiet moment, just Aidan, the mountains, and a sandwich, and that's how new chapters in the story of life are sometimes written. So when you're out in the field and you're wondering if it's new and you're wondering if it's interesting, instead of packing it up in a shoebox or giving it to your nephew to be long gone or scrabbled to bits amongst the toys, do share your finds, because new species pop up all the time and it's quite remarkable. And you can even have a fossil named after you. I had the very great pleasure, not a trilobite, but an ammonite, Fergusonides hendersoni. I had the very great honor of Louise Longridge naming an ammonite after me after helping her out with some field work when she was just on her path to becoming a paleontologist. So wrapping it up, trilobites are more than just pretty fossils. They're storytellers. They're time travelers in stone, and they can tell us about ancient seas, shifting continents, the evolution of life itself. We can see who's who in the zoo, who they lived with at places like the Burgess Shale, where there's wonderful preservation, so we see who their neighbors were and who they were living with. We can find new trilobites, week upon week, year upon year, up in the upper Cambrian outcrops in BC, British Columbia. We've seen 15 plus new sites open up, all with unique species, and that's in large part due to the great work of folks like Chris New and Chris Jenkins. Jean Caron did a restudy of the fossil fauna, the lower Cambrian, so about 8 million years older than the Burgess Shale up in the Eager Formation, and with the help of folks like Guy Sanducci and naming one of the specimens after him, reworking some of Lisa Bohatch's unpublished PhD thesis, but renaming and reclassifying some of those specimens. And it's a weird and wonderful world. So I will share more about Isotolix rex and the good work of Dave Rudkin in making that discovery. And thanks for journeying with me and going back in time, my fossil friends. And I'll leave it there. So until next time, keep seeking, keep wondering, keep listening to the whispers of the stone. And I'll talk to you all very soon. Take care.